Atlantis can't be my enemy.
Then you'll have me as an enemy.
Not for long. Begin.
What's up, guys? We're doing another Black Manta rank session, and I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with him now than I was before, so you guys will probably see a little bit better gameplay in this video compared to the last one. And also, as a reminder, I am going to be answering some of the comments from the last video, so this also applies to this video. If you guys have any comments that I may look and answer for the next video, feel free to post them below and I'll give them a look. So right now we got a Batman player, and I'm trying to be very aggressive in the corner. Because remember, when you knock down Batman, you want to be aggressive on him. He's only got 2 wake-ups, one right there that he did to me. I was getting a little too reckless. He's got his cape wake-up and a slide. His cape will cover if you do a bunch of highs, or overheads or mids, it'll parry that. But to get around that, you could do a throw or go for a low, or do a jump attack. And he's got a slide too, but a slide is very risky. Once you have the Batman doing slides on wake-up, you can start baiting it and then punishing him really hard for making that mistake. And you want to get the Batman player to get scared and want to do things like block on knockdown and play patiently. And then once you condition him to do that, you can start doing whatever you want on their knockdown and going a little bit crazy.
Black Manta wins. Begin.
I like this guy's shader. I think he has a tournament shader. It looks really nice with Batman. I'm liking that costume a lot. So we have the first comment here, and the Dark Knight Owl 1 asks, if I may ask, do you use a pad, controller, or a stick? I personally play on a PS4 controller. I've been using PlayStation controllers since I could remember, since PS1 days, and I've always felt the most comfortable with them. So I stick to them. And another reason why I like to play on a PlayStation controller compared to something like a stick or hitbox, I used to play on hitbox years ago for a little bit, and I went back to pad because pads are so much more convenient. Like, let's say for example you're at a tournament, and at the tournament for whatever reason your hitbox happens to break or your stick malfunctions or something. You can't really just go to like a GameStop right nearby and pick up a hitbox. Because you gotta order them online. They're very rare and they take time to come in. But if you play on a PS4 pad and your controller breaks at a tournament, you could just take an Uber, go to like a GameStop or something, get a new controller, and you'll be ready in time for a tournament. So it's less of a hassle. It's also easier to carry if you're going to somewhere out of state where you're taking an airplane to get to. A lot more convenient to bring on as carry-on compared to like something like a stick. That was a pretty bad whiff. That was a good punish by him. Good way to anti with bats. I should have converted off that combo, but I was assuming he would block that on knockdown. That's why you guys saw me wait a little bit before I threw him. Oh, very nice cross up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to clash here.
Why don't you just give up?
I never quit.
He could have actually beat me if he did another unclashable 4-3 back 3. If you do 2 4-3s or a back 3 and a 4-3, those are all unclashable, meaning your opponent can't use their clash against those moves. So it's great for closing out a round. Oh, late on the punish. That was a good closeout by him. Good use of the bats.
Batman wins. Begin.
Alright, I was getting a little too reckless last match. Now, Nick Chambers 1 says, who's your favorite character to play as, and who are you most likely to take into tournament? My favorite character right now, I'd say, is Black Manta, because of how fun he is to play. And after that, I'd say it's Gorilla Grodd. Those two characters I've been having a blast with. I also really like playing as Dr. Fate. I find that character extremely fun. I love playing as Cyborg, another very fun character. I enjoy playing as Brainiac, and I'd also put Swamp Thing up there. I find Swamp Thing very fun to play. I like his playstyle a lot. So I got quite a few characters that I really enjoy playing. I would probably I would feel comfortable using any of those characters in tournament, I'd say, depending on the matchup, you know? So I would use any of those 6 characters I mentioned. You gotta be careful when you block back 1-1-3 because of the bat. A lot of Batman players will want you to try and punish them and then they'll counteract. Now Salvi Prime 1.
Why don't you just give up?
I never quit.
Salvi Prime 1 says, what type of character style do you love to play? The character styles that I love to play, I love character styles that have a lot of depth to them. I love characters that have a ton of depth, meaning you're from now you're going to be playing the character completely different. Characters that have a lot of room to optimize on. Characters that have execution. I love execution, working on it, building with it, and you know, just seeing how strong I'm able to get with a character that requires a lot more effort. So I'd say characters that like that have a ton of depth, and also freestyle. I love freestyle type characters, meaning freestyle just means characters that are able to be played many different ways, and you don't really see players that have a similar style when it comes to those characters. Like every player that plays them has their own separate style.
Stop.
I'd rather die here.
So yeah, I love freestyle type characters, characters with depth and a lot of execution. Those are my favorite. That's why I've been loving Black Manta so far. I think he's an amazingly fun character for me.
Batman wins. Begin.
Alright, this Batman's pretty good. This guy's actually beating me up pretty good. One thing I need to start doing in this match, if you guys haven't been noticing, is when he has bats out, you don't really want to challenge him as much. Every time he has bats out, I'm challenging him a little too much. And with Batman, with his trait, of course, you know, if you disrespect Batman with bats out, it can be pretty bad if he hits you with them, because you know he can release a bat and then full combo you and then put you in a vortex situation. And yeah, see right there, I guess this guy's playing him pretty good right now. So I'm gonna have to play a bit more patient when he gets bats out. I gotta stop disrespecting him. I'm gonna have to be a little bit more patient, get him to use his bats, and then try to capitalize when Batman doesn't have his bats out. Because Batman's neutral game isn't as good, nowhere near as good as it is when he has bats out. When Batman doesn't have any bats out and his traits on cooldown, that's when you want to kind of take control of neutral and get your things going and try to do something. I'm going to have to try and close this gray life bar right here. This is going to be kind of hard to make a comeback on. He's got a big life lead. Need to put him in the corner. This is where you want to have Batman. Gotta have him in the corner.
I brought a hook to hang you from.
Nice swift punish on the jump in, and now I'm gonna try and do as much damage as I can. Fortunately, drop the combo, but we're gonna throw him again. Okay, he's being a little bit more patient on wake up now. Now that he has bats out, I'm gonna just be patient. Yeah, I'm gonna try and block. Don't really want to challenge him too much. Black Manta having a pretty solid anti-air. Pretty good. This could be it. This could possibly be a comeback. Yeah, we actually did it. Okay, so we got that comeback, which was pretty good. I made that comeback basically by putting him in the corner and suffocating him with pressure and staggers and just reading how he wanted to react and what he wanted to do. So again, you always want to have Batman in the corner. The best place to have him. Alright, Benjamin Perez 1 asks, is it better to tech throws on read or reaction? I would say it's a combination of both. You have to have somewhat of a reaction to noticing what a throw is in the animation and then having the ability to tech it. But you also want to have a read on the specific player you're playing against and kind of catch on their tendencies on when they want to throw. Because if you're playing someone that barely throws, having throw reaction isn't really going to be as good against that certain player because they barely throw. But if you play against someone where you know where they like to throw, like, you know, let's say after a knockdown or after a plus string or something, it's going to help you react to throws. So I'd say it's both. You want to have a combination of read and reaction. Reaction is probably a little bit more important, but I think having a combination of both would be the best bet. Cass Casilla's 1 asks, do you have any tips for doing instant air commands? Like, is there a trick to it, or is it just a thing that takes practice? I'd say many instant air commands are mainly all practice. There's not really shortcuts to them. Basically, the more you practice them, the more time you devote into training mode with practicing the commands and execution to get them out, the better it's going to help you in real match against people. So I would just keep practicing until you get them down and you get very familiar with them. Alright, so now I'm trying to change up my strategy. I'm trying to be a little bit more reckless. When he has bats out now, I'm not really caring. So I got him adjusted to my previous playstyle where I changed it up and was playing super defensive. Now I'm kind of playing more offense based with bursts of trying to do stuff in movement. So he's probably not really expecting that because he's used to me being patient. Yeah, that's gonna take it. With Punish's grapple with my hook shot.
Black Manta
Yeah, that Batman play was pretty good though. That was a pretty good set. It was close. I believe it was 3-2. He actually almost had me. It was up 2-1 at one point, but yeah, that was a good match.
begin.
Alright, let's see what this Wonder Woman player got. I feel like Wonder Woman players are getting really good with their character. They're starting to really understand how to play, and I'd say she's kind of a scary character in the right hands. She can be very demoralizing in neutral. I think, like for example, I think Wonder Woman completely bodies Grodd. I would say that's one of Grodd's worst matchups. So she's kind of slept on. So Ramiro Gaglino asks, which game do you enjoy more, MKX or Injustice 2? This is probably going to surprise a lot of people, but as much as I love MK and I'm a huge MK fanboy, I'd have to say competitively as a game, I find Injustice 2 a lot more enjoyable. And it's not to say MKX is a bad game winner, because MKX was an amazing game in its own regard. It's just, to me, Injustice 2 feels like a game that has more playstyle of different characters. The character designs in this game are infinitely more diverse and different compared to the cast and MKX was from each other. So I'd have to say Injustice 2. I've been liking Injustice 2 a lot. I just feel like the game is more fun, and it's a great joy to play with a lot of different characters because of how different so many of these characters play. Yep, that's going to be unclashable. That's nothing you could have really done there. When you hit somebody with a meter burn back 3, they can't even air escape. For those of you who may not know that. You can't air escape if you do a meter burn 4 through a back 3. It just prevents you from doing so.
Begin.
Now, Trey City Beats says, what do you think about interactables being active during competitive play? Shouldn't interactables be for casual play, kind of like how Smash uses items for only casual play, but items are off during competitive? This is a pretty controversial topic because interactables, very few in between people that will either be for both of them. You know, like they won't really care if they're banned or allowed. You're either on one side of the fence, meaning you either love interactables, you think they're fine, or you dislike interactables and you hate them. In my opinion, I think interactables make the game worse. Yes, they do add more depth, and the same argument could be made for gear moves also. Gear moves add infinitely more depth to the game, but it's not the good kind of depth. I think interactables help a lot of the bad things about the game, and I think the interactables help the bad matchups of the game even more, and they help the top tier characters that don't need the help and just make them worse. For example, let's say you're playing Gorilla Grodd against Deadshot. Many people consider it to be, you know, close to even, probably slight advantage Deadshot, but that's without interactables. If you play with interactables on and Deadshot gets a stage that favors him, like the wall dive kick stage with the interactable where you jump down and it's like plus 30 and fully invincible on going up on the wall, that makes a matchup way worse than it would normally be. And there's a bunch of other interactables that do that too. Like for example, you have the laser stage on Redstone Prison that helps Deadshot zoning infinitely better than it would not. You have characters like Red Hood who are very powerful, and characters like this benefit a lot more off stages that have unblockable launchers. Same thing with other characters like Catwoman and such. Interactables, I feel, just make the game...
Ready to lose your head?
Choke on a harpoon.
They make the game not as good as it would be without interactables. And now, I've actually played the game. I've actually played sets with people with Injustice 2 with interactables off just to test that theory and see how it is. And the game's so much more fun, I'd say, with interactables off. You get to actually play the matchup and play against characters and not have to worry about random variables like, oh, they may use this invincible instant launcher here, they may use this dive kick here, and I can't approach them on knockdown, or I have to back up when I put Deadshot in the corner. With interactables off, it makes the game a lot more consistent matchup based. You don't have to worry about, please, I hope I don't get the wrong stage in random. I hope I get a stage that favors me. Hopefully we don't go to the stage because then the matchup is way worse. You know, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just worry about playing your character, focusing on your opponent as a player, and focusing on their character. And just, I think it's more enjoyable that way. But like I said, everybody has their own opinion. It's been a pretty heated topic ever since Injustice 2 launched. Alright, so this guy switched to Green Lantern. Maybe he wasn't really feeling the Wonder Woman match for Black Manta. But, you know, Green Lantern's got good space control. Really solid footsies with his back one. Catch him with the back two stagger. The back two stagger actually is a little underrated with Black Manta. A lot of people think the low overhead mix-up, you just do low and then low overhead won't catch people, but if they're not on point and they're not really expecting it, you can actually catch people with it. So it's not bad to throw in there every once in a while. So here we have Kitty, who has a question, and says, I have a question. How do you feel about Poison Ivy? I want to get this game and was thinking about trying her, but she seems only good against a couple of characters in the cast. Question mark. Is she viable against characters with good pressure? Well, from my opinion on Poison Ivy, there's rushdown characters that give her a hard time. Like, I know Flash is very good against her because of her weak knockdown game. Catwoman bullies her. Brainiac is really difficult for her. But her worst matchup, I'd say, is Deadshot. Deadshot completely bullies her in neutral, up close, and it demoralizes her with his zoning. His zoning is very, very damaging against her because you can't really get anything going. Poison Ivy, I think, is a great character. She is, I'd say, one of the more fun characters to play, but unfortunately she suffers from being a character that requires a bit more execution and effort than your typical Injustice 2 character, and combine that with the fact that she's not a top tier character, so a lot of players that want to play top tier characters are just going to pass over her and play characters that are, you know, very high in the tier list, powerful top tiers, but also require easier execution. That's why you don't really see Poison Ivy used that much. But I think she's a good character. She just, if you don't mind playing a character that requires a lot of work, I'd give her a try. I think she's fun.
Black Manta wins.
Is that a helmet or a cranial condition?
It's a pressurized heat ray.
Functional, I like it.
Begin.
You know, I kind of like Power Girl. She seems pretty sassy. If I were a Supergirl player, I think I would play mainly Power Girl shader because she seems like an awesome character and personality. I like her. That was a good wake up by him. So, question by Denio Mansota, and he says, question, I dread being put in the corner. What are the best defensive options? Now, the answer to this question depends on the character you're playing against, and that's going to be determining on what your options are, what the best options really are. So, for example, let's say you're up against, if you're up against a character like Batman in the corner, your best option a lot of times will be to push block. And the reason you would want to push block is because let's say he has bats out, he's pressuring you, he's got a lot of meter. You're going to want to try and push block him to, one, get rid of his bats, and two, to get some space from him. And when he doesn't have bats out, again,
I deal with creeps like you every day.
A fool like you can't stop me.
if you're neutral with Batman, he's a lot less better than he is when he's in your face with bats out. So I would push block him, get some space. Then you have some breathing room to kind of think of what you want to do to get out of there. Now, if you're up against a character like Bane, You can't really... Push blocking isn't that great against Bane because he's one of the best armor characters in the game, and armor eats up push block. So against Bane, you're going to want to pick and choose your spots to jump out, especially because he's a command grab character. So against Bane, you want to choose when you want to jump out and, you know, hopefully punish his command grab or just jump out of the corner and get away from him, because Bane is a very suffocating character once he has you pinned on knockdown in the corner and starts, you know, doing a bunch of his mix-ups.
Which hostile race?
Begin.
Just to add to that, if you're up against a character like Swamp Thing, who's completely different from those two characters, but Swamp Thing's kind of like a wall. Like when he gets to the corner, he's got a lot of good tools to keep you there and, you know, just keep you where you want to. One of the good things to use against Swamp Thing is not really push block, because Swamp Thing is really good neutral and footsie. So if you push block him, he's generally going to range a lot of characters. Against Swamp Thing, a good way to get out of the corner is meter burn rollout. Because if he does any string or whatever and you happen to meet him and roll, you'll be out of there and he'll be in whiff recovery. And it's just easier to slip out of his grasp when he has you in the corner if you use the meter and roll. So I'd say it depends on the character you're up against, and use one of those three options. You could be patient, try to jump out, try to meter and roll against some characters to get out of the corner, or push block against some to get some space and then capitalize on what you can do in neutral against them. This guy's mixing me up right now. Supergirl does have a pretty underrated mix-up.
I deal with creeps like you every day.
A fool like you can't stop me.
One of her underrated mix-ups is she has a string in normal, which is back 2, where she does the kick, and then the follow-up you could do back 2 into the grab, which is 1+3, and it's a mid into an overhead. But back 2 alone by itself is, I believe it's -2, so you could do back 2 and then immediately down 1, and her down 1's a low. So you can trick people, you know, you could do back 2, stagger into instantly down 1, and they're going to be thinking, oh, back 2, let me go block the follow-up of the string overhead. And then you get tricked and then you get hit by the low. That's kind of like a little mix-up she has, which is pretty good. Supergirl player is doing a pretty good job with it. Yeah, see right there, he's starting to catch me now. He's starting to mix it up good. Nice throw. Yeah, I'm going to backdash. Black Manta has an amazing backdash. That's a whip punish. I went into super thinking he had clash, so he couldn't clash, but he didn't. It was just super instinctive for me to do that. Yeah, that's going to close out the match. The Supergirl player is not doing a bad job mixing me up. I think what he should be doing a little bit better is his damage. He's not converting and getting as much damage as he could be, but his offense isn't bad. He knows how to mix. Yeah, he's got to start a little too reckless there with the teleport, but he's got to start whenever he has bar to confirm those down ones into either breath for a combo or back 1-2 into breath. Could have whiff punished that, but too late on it. Miguel Vasquez asks, for jump-ins, is it the higher they are, the more negative they become? Yes, that's correct. In this game, the deeper you do a jump-in, the more advantage you will have on block. So if you do like an instant jump 2 and you clip somebody on the way up with Harley or something, you're going to be punishable on the way down, because the frame data determines on where and when you do the jump-in determines how much advantage you have. It's not like MKX, where in MKX, no matter what you did, a jump and punch where could have been close to the ground, high. If the jump and punch touched opponent, you were guaranteed like +18 into any kind of jailing normal string you want. It's not like that. You have to time and space your jump-ins, which adds a lot more depth to the jumping game, because you're going to have to know your spacing, you're going to have to know how far your opponent is, what kind of jump-in you're going for. Are you going for a combo jump-in? Are you going for a deep jump-in into pressure? Or are you going for like a very light jump-in into like a backdash or something, you know, just to like cover the airspace or do something. So the jump-in mechanic is pretty good for this game. I like it a lot. It's going to close out the round. Yep. That should be it. Surprised he didn't clash. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching again, and remember, if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like, and I'm going to be doing another rank video. I'm going to be trying to do one of these, you know, every week or so. I'm going to be trying to do one and answering more questions.